Today on 10-Minute Food Truck Training, we talk about the real limitation to profits. And it may surprise you what that limitation is.
This episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Think you know what an electric vehicle should be? Think again. From the charge time and range in the Ioniq 5 and 6 to the 601 horsepower Ioniq 5N, Hyundai is redefining what EVs should be. Learn more about Hyundai EVs at HyundaiUSA.com. EPA estimated 303-mile driving range for 2024 Ioniq 5 SE SEL limited rear-wheel drive and 361-mile driving range for 2024 Ioniq 6 SE long-range rear-wheel drive with fully charged battery. Actual range may vary.
Hi, my name is Bill Moore, founder of FoodTruckTraining.group, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. This is event week. Today we're going to be talking all about you. Wait a minute. We talked about the limitation. Well, guess what? The limitation's you. You're your own limitation to sales and profits. And I know that's probably fighting words. And what I mean is your sales, your profits are capped by two things. First is your own speed of service. If it takes 1 minute from greeting to food presentation, you can only handle 60 people an hour. Doesn't matter how many thousands or tens of thousands are in attendance. You can only handle 60 people an hour. The second limitation is your cooking and storage capacity. If you serve hamburgers and it takes 5 minutes to completely cook them, your grill can only hold 32 patties. You can only cook 384 an hour. If you listen to my menu week, those numbers may sound familiar. And again, that's if your grill can actually recover its temperature fast enough and you can replace each cooked patty with an uncooked patty the instant the cooked one is done. So you can only sell 384 burgers an hour. I can tell you from all of my burger experience, whether it be Burger King or Wendy's or Hardee's or Whataburger or McDonald's, and yes, I work for all of them, you can expect to hold a burger 10 minutes at the very most before it starts to lose its quality. Thus, getting a couple of hundred hamburgers ahead, not a good strategy. Because you can't take orders and assemble the sandwiches fast enough before those several hundred patties start to decline in quality. Obviously, you can hire more people to bring your speed of service in line with your cooking capacity, because you should have more cooking capacity than you do capacity to take orders, so you can hire more cashiers, for example. But is it really realistic for you to serve 384 burgers an hour every hour the event's open? Absolutely not. However, there are vendors that will stock enough food to sell that much. And likewise, there are vendors that will run out way too soon. They'll leave the event because they have to, because they have nothing to sell, and they're embarrassed, and they have left money on the table. And that's sad to see. The Inventory Balancing Act is a topic all its own. So we're just going to stick right now to sales, something that we can actually quantify. So remember, we've been talking about 100,000 people attending an event over 27 hours, and there's 20 total food vendors. And we'll say there's no imposed menu restrictions. That means we can sell Coke, or we can sell Pepsi, we can sell lemonade, we can sell iced tea. Doesn't matter. We can sell our brand of chips. Everything's good that we sell. So we'll also assume that our staff knows what it's doing, and that they can consistently greet, order, take, transact the cash, prepare, package, and present the food in 1 minute to create our potential. So that means we can completely take 60 orders an hour and get that food out within that same hour. And we're going to use a average check of $20, and this is higher than other examples I've used in the past. And the reason being that there's event fees that we got to make up for. So we'll just say $20 just to make the math nice and simple. So what it's going to look like again, I'm going to repeat the numbers you've heard many times. We talked about 100,000 people attending. We talked about only 22% of them eating. So we had to pick a number somewhere. So we're saying about 22% are going to eat. So that leaves us 22,000 people to eat. We divide that number by the number of vendors. That takes 22,000 divided by 20 equals 1,100 people for our fair share that are going to come eat with us. Then we're going to multiply that by that average check. So we're taking that 1,100, now multiplying it by 20. So that means we would have $22,000 worth of sales potential in this event if everything worked out perfectly. So you can expect, again, $22,000 in sales if you can handle the guest flow the way we talked about. You sell delicious food and it's desirable food. People want to eat this at an event. So we're going to double check to see if we could even serve that many people. So you take that 1,100 people, you're going to divide it by 27. That's the number of hours we said the event was going to be on, Friday night, all day Saturday, and part of the day Sunday. So during that 27 hours, 1,100 people is our fair share. That equals about 40 an hour. So clearly that still falls within that taking one order per minute and getting the food out within that minute. So that's 60 orders per hour. The fair share is only 40. So it's reasonable to assume that we can serve 1,100 people, and that falls within our ability to serve. So I want you to think about speed of service and how it works. Your cashier has to greet, ring up the orders, suggest to sell something, then verify the order is correct, transact the cash and or credit card, thank the guest, and explain where to pick up the food. All of this takes time. A great, awesome cashier with an extremely cooperative guest that actually knows what they want could do this in about 40 seconds. Just to make it easy, let's say 1 full minute per order. So that's where I get the 60 seconds. That means a line of 60 people long, it will take 1 full hour for that last person in line to get up there. Do you honestly think people are waiting 60 minutes to be able to place an order? People that say their line was 50 people deep all day long can't know that for sure. And here's why. If the line honestly is 50 people deep, their heads should be down and they should be making food. They shouldn't have their heads up and do a body count. So they're guessing how long their line was. They can look at the number of tickets or the number of entrees that they sold and give a reasonable estimate, but they can't tell how long the line is. And they also can't notice how many people are getting the line, looking how long it is, and going, nah, I ain't waiting on this, and they're going somewhere else. Because if they're able to pay that much attention, what's happening to the food that's in front of them? They're going slower. And the people that will, in the middle of a long line rush, walk out to take a picture of it, are saying, I really don't care how many people's in line. I want to brag about how good I am. And screw y'all that are waiting on food. I want to take this picture. Food service doesn't work that way. Or maybe I should say, successful food service doesn't work that way. So let's just keep on that example. 60 seconds per order. Let's say your cook staff is so efficient, they can keep up with the pace. So as soon as the guest says, I want a burger, they're starting to assemble that burger based on what the guest says they want on it. It can happen. Wendy's does this all the time, and I've done it many years. I worked at Wendy's. So it is possible to actually listen to a guest and make the food as they say it. But that's still 1 guest per minute. So if a family steps up and they've got 8 or 10 people in the family, the cashier might be able to squeeze that order out in a minute, maybe 2, but the cooks still need the exact same amount of assembly time per individual guest. So now imagine that the next order that comes in is also a family of 8 or 10 people. This is the beginnings of what they refer to in the restaurant world as getting in the weeds, being in the weeds, because the cashier has now taken more orders than the cooks can reasonably put out. And it's not the cashier's fault, because obviously when they started taking the first order, they didn't know it was going to have 8 or 10 individual sandwiches on it. And certainly 8 or 10 shouldn't be enough to bog down a kitchen. So when they take that second order with 8 or 10, now it's, we're in panic mode, because now the kitchen, after 2 minutes of order taking, is down 20 sandwiches. And it's going to take them, if it takes a full minute to assemble a sandwich, it will take them 20 minutes to get that last sandwich out. So the limitation is always speed of service and cooking capacity, and you take ownership for those. So the limitation is always you, and it doesn't matter, again, how many tens of thousands of people are in attendance. And a vendor will be overwhelmed for several hours at the ending of a show or ending of a concert, and then likewise for the hours leading up to that show, they could be busier. But when the show's actually going on, they're dead. They'll have trickles of people coming out. Other things that impact your ability to get your fair share of event attendees is your reputation in the community, your menu in general, the speed of service, the friendliness. They all impact a vendor. Somebody that plans on coming to an event to eat 2 times during that event, if you're rude that first time, chances are they're not coming back that second time. So you always create your own limitations. There's no amount of math, there's no amount of experience that can accurately 100% of the time tell you what your sales at an event are going to be. But you got to plan on something. So looking at the numbers that we've been talking about all this week in the examples I've been giving, it gives you a fighting chance to at least know what to order, what to prepare for, And there's still a few more things to consider because we haven't even priced your menu. What if there's big event fees? What if there's application fees? What if they charge you for electricity? What if there's commissions? What if they make you use their POS system and you have to pay them 10% or 15%? What if there's additional permits you have to get because that's not a place you normally vend at? What if there's equipment you need to rent? What if there's additional commissary fees because you're going to beat your commissary more doing more prep work? There's all of those fees chip away at your pot of cash. And we have to consider them before we even pull the trigger and sign on the dotted line saying, yep, I'm going to show up. So we're going to think about, what if the event has $1,000 worth of fees? Doesn't matter what the mix is, it's just going to cost you an additional $1,000. So next you got to add in the daily breakdown of your own fixed cost. And fixed cost again is things like insurance and cell phone and permits and commissary and things that you have to pay whether you're open or closed. And then you need to consider how much gasoline you're going to use for your travel and for your generator and how much propane you're going to consume. All of those expenses had to be added together. Plus you have to other odd expenses like hotel room, per diem for yourself to eat, or paying your staff to be able to eat. You got more expenses when you go to an event that's away from home. You got to project your labor expenses. You got to project how much you want to make. So you got to get a total for all of these costs. And you got to kind of figure that they're all fixed because you're going to be spending that whether you sell 10,000 hamburgers or 100. So your food and paper cost is going to be variable. And we've talked about this on a break-even presentation I did a few weeks ago. So if you plan on running, let's say just real simple math, a 25% food and paper cost, that means your pricing has to be marked up 4 times whatever that cost is. So for example, if a burger combo with fries, soda, and a sandwich, and all the paper that you would give with that cost you $2.25, that means you need to sell it for $9 to run a 25% food cost. Food cost is a variable expense. And a variable expense is completely sales driven. What that means is if you are open and you sell no food, it rains and you're totally rained out, you have not diminished your inventory any. All that food can carry over to the next day. Yes, you have spent money and yes, it sucks, but all that inventory is available to be sold the next day. What you did consume was the propane and the gasoline to get there, and you paid some hourly people to stand around and do nothing. So those are fixed costs. They had to be paid no matter what. So how you figure your break even is you take 100%, subtract the 25% variable cost we mentioned, food cost and the paper cost, leaves you 75%. That 75% represents what your fixed costs have to be at a certain point. Otherwise you don't have enough money to pay those fixed costs. So we're going to put our fixed cost at $1,000 for what the event is charging us, plus another $1,000 to cover the propane and all the permits and those additional fees we talked about. So that's $2,000 in fixed cost. You're going to take that $2,000, you're going to divide it by the 75% that I mentioned. It's going to give you a number. And that number is going to be $2,666.67. Once you do that in sales, you have broken even. Paid for your labor, you've paid to get in the event, and you paid for the food to get to that $2,600 level. That's your break-even point. Now, every dollar above that is 75 cents in profit, because the only thing you're expending now is that food, that 25% food cost. Everything else is already paid for, which is awesome. So carrying that farther out, take the projected sales of $22,000 we talked about yesterday times that 25% food cost, that gives you $5,500. So the expenses for this event would be $5,500 plus the $2,000 in fees and the fixed cost. So that's a total of $7,500 that we will have spent if we do generate $2,200 in sales. We subtract that $7,500 from the $22,000, leaves us $14,500 in profit potential. That's on a $1,000 event. So if you bought your inventory correctly with not a lot of excess food, your bank account's going to have a healthy deposit at the end of the event. So the real trick is to get your fair share of the people that attend the event to come shop with you, and you do that in a number of different ways. If your food smells really delicious and you give great speedy service in the event, it's going to be a great one. Because if your line constantly looks shorter than everyone else's, and it can look shorter, I mean realistically there is no difference. This is a hard concept for people to get. You could have a line that's 3 people deep all day long, never ever breaks. You always have 3 people standing in line and do as much sales and probably more sales than somebody that has a 60-person deep line all day long, because you both can only take so many orders and produce so many orders an hour. Doesn't matter how long the line is. What matters is the 3 people in line for you are getting served quick enough and being replaced by 3 more people. So you constantly have that shorter looking line of people going, oh, that's awesome, I'll go over there because I know I'll get my food faster. You'll make more money. Tonight on our Facebook group, we're going to have a live training, and I'm going to go over a spreadsheet that will help you do all the things I've been talking about the last 3 days, and it'll help you to make the decision and help you to know how much potential every event has. So if you're not a part of our group, now's the time to join. The training will be at 6 p.m. Central Time tonight, and I promise you it's going to be eye-opening. If you're enjoying our chats here on the podcast, please consider supporting us by clicking the support button. Every little bit does help. If you would like to make a one-time donation, I got a link in the description for that too. If you need more information or just like the camaraderie of like-minded positive people, join the Facebook group I mentioned. It's called Food Truck Training. Link is in the description for that as well. Thank you guys so much for listening, and stay profitable, my friends.